Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. My name is Becky, and I'll be your moderator. Throughout today's meeting, I will be monitoring questions that come in through our chat function, which is available at the bottom left-hand side of your screen if you click on the blue icon. Those questions will be saved up throughout the presentation and addressed by Jamison, our lead today, at the end. Also, at the conclusion of today's presentation, you'll receive a copy of the slides that we go through, as well as a feedback survey, all available via email. And without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get started? I'd like to introduce Jamison Sindel. He is a support engineering lead here at Cloudflare, and he will be walking us through the webinar and taking your questions.
Thank you so much, Becky. Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us to talk a little bit about Cloudflare and how to contact support and really leverage our platform here. So today, what we're going to talk about is I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, and then we're going to talk about why you would want to use Cloudflare. We're going to talk about preparing your account, how to activate Cloudflare, and then how to also contact support and resources that are. And then, just as Becky mentioned, we're going to have questions and answers at the end. So, my name is Jamison. I've been at Cloudflare since 2014. I started off as a technical support engineer. Now I actually lead our Austin team here in Cloudflare support. So, loved every single day of it. It's an awesome place to be and a really cool technology that is available to anyone for free. So what is Cloudflare? Cloudflare is a security and performance platform that also provides a redundant network that is available to anyone. We have 4 different subscription levels, and the first one is free. So why would you want to use Cloudflare, right? There are 3 main reasons, and one is performance, one is security, and one is reliability. And what does that mean? So Cloudflare is going to make your website faster because we have more than 100 points of presence across the world that automatically cache and provide your static assets to end users as closest to them as possible. We make sure that we have automatic image optimization available and WebP optimization at paid plan levels. And then the next reason is security, right? We have IP firewall at all levels of subscription, but we also have web application firewall available at any paid subscription level as well. And what those 2 different technologies combined do is absolutely prevent people from accessing your website or giving you malicious or basically requests that would be not beneficial to your website. And then we also have more than 100 points of presence across the world. We have an Anycast DNS network that will automatically detect what the closest point of presence is to that end user and automatically route them through that particular point of presence. We have a resistant intelligent network, and we also have 24/7 coverage. So support, to give you an example, has 4 offices around the world, and what we do is we have a follow the sun model to make sure that someone is online at any given time, at any given day. We also have 24/7 coverage from system reliability engineers that are constantly monitoring the network to make sure that it's available and as optimized as possible. So this is a little bit of how our Cloudflare network works. So on the left, you can see without Cloudflare, you have 3 big buckets that you can put your traffic through, and that's going to be your real visitors, your clients that are actually visiting your website. You also have crawlers and bots, and this is going to be things like search engines and just caching services around the world that are already monitoring your website. And then you also have malicious requests, and those come from attackers. And so in the event that you're not using Cloudflare, all of these requests hit your origin web server. And that isn't always how you want the network flow to go. So on the right here, you see the diagram with Cloudflare. What we use two different primary terms. We have the edge and we have the origin. The edge is basically our points of presence around the world. And those are going to be what the Anycast DNS requests automatically detect to be closest to whatever the requester is geographically located at. And then based on various checks and balances, including the web application firewall, the IP firewall, and even some built-in logic that we just know this is not a good request. We need to block it. We're going to route that from our edge to your web server. And that's really the goal of Cloudflare, is to make sure that you see the traffic that is the stuff that you want to hit your web server, and we block stuff that isn't. So, awesome. So making Cloudflare work for you, it's really easy to do. We definitely pride ourselves in trying to make everything as simple as possible, push button kind of functionality. You don't have to change your code. You don't have to change your host. You don't have any operational interruptions, and you don't have any downtime as a result of activating Cloudflare. And how do you prepare for that? So when you're ready to go ahead and add your website to Cloudflare, as I hope a lot of you have already, you need to make sure that you install an Apache module called mod Cloudflare, or if you have Nginx, there's a different set of instructions that we're happy to discuss in the Q&A. And, we will work with any web server, but if you do use Apache, you should install mod Cloudflare. And that's because we go as far up into the application layer in correcting the IP address that is logged in your web server logs. And then you also should evaluate your caching profile. So you have a really dynamic site. Is every single page rendered differently for every single user? In that case, you would want a more moderate caching profile. But if in the event that you have just a static blog where you render the same content every single time that a user requests the page, you can have a cache everything page wall. By default, we're going to only cache things that we know are typically static. So if you have like JavaScript files, CSS files, we're going to cache those by default at the edge and then serve those to users, saving your website bandwidth. And if you have static HTML, we also have the ability to go ahead and cache that via page roles. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. In the event that you're using a CMS like Drupal or WordPress or Joomla, those typically have administrative areas that are not really suitable to be cached. You want those web pages to be uncached every single time. So it's really about how your application works. And if you can cache something, we absolutely want you to do so. So at your origin, you also want to make sure that you whitelist all of Cloudflare IP addresses. And this is something that comes up a lot in support. So it's not typically going to be enough to just not blacklist us. The way Cloudflare works, all of the traffic after you're behind Cloudflare's proxy is going to look like it's coming from Cloudflare to normal networking devices because they don't inspect at the network level HTTP packets. So it's absolutely necessary to go ahead and whitelist all of our IP space with your hosting provider. And then also, if you're under attack or if you have internal traffic, it's another different question of should you block all traffic? And if you're under attack, you absolutely should block all traffic that doesn't come from Cloudflare. If you have an internal application that has a 10 dot kind of internal communication going on, that wouldn't be something that you want to block because that's actually something that is associated with your web application itself. Awesome. So activating Cloudflare is really, really fast. You can actually do it in less than 5 minutes. So you want to make sure that your DNS records have been scanned and that all of them are present. The tricky one there is typically going to be your mail records because if your origin is providing your mail services, there's potential for there to be a conflict there because if you're using your origin web server as the mail provider, you could potentially expose the origin IP address and thereby giving attackers a way into your web server. And make sure that you also contact your domain name provider, your registrar. This is the person that you contacted in order to buy your domain to begin with. And then you change your name server records to the two Cloudflare provided name servers. At the business or enterprise level of service, we even offer what are called vanity name servers, and these are name servers that you can brand for your website. And in the event that someone did a DNS lookup on your name servers, you could say ns.example.com, and that way, it's a little bit less obvious that you're using Cloudflare. So some people find that valuable. Awesome. And then one thing that we wanted to talk about a little bit is resources that are available to you. Anytime you use Cloudflare, you have the ability to read through our knowledge base. We have actually more than 800 articles in there just documenting various things that we've seen customers come to us and ask. And you can access that at support.cloudflare.com. If you can't find the answer, what you can do is you can go ahead and click on the help option in your Cloudflare portal, and you will be routed eventually to a ticket option where you can contact support directly and ask your question. And you also have the ability to email support@cloudflare.com. One thing I did want to stress was that it's absolutely necessary to contact us from the email that you registered with Cloudflare, because we want to make sure that we're helping the proper audience in the event that you do have a question. We have, it's partly a security measure to make sure that we're protecting your privacy and the security of your account. So absolutely make sure that you contact us from the email that you sign in with, okay? And then some fun little third-party resources I wanted to mention. If DNS is just something new to you that you want to learn a little bit more about, how DNS.works is a really fun comic-style introduction to how DNS works. And so that's really, really helpful for a lot of people. What'sMyDNS.net is a great tool for checking DNS propagation around the world. It has several points of presence, and it will actually give you what various places in the world will respond with in the event that a DNS query was made. If HTTP statuses are interesting and new to you, a fun one is httpstatusdogs.com, and they give just fun little memes of, this is what that HTTP status is, and I really enjoyed watching that one. And so if you're really interested in performance, I recommend using webpagetest.org. And one way that you can utilize Webpage Test to really show you the value of how much faster Cloudflare makes your website is to use what we call our pause functionality. And pausing Cloudflare is basically just routing to the DNS that's set in your Cloudflare dashboard. So you pause your website, you run one web page test, and it gives you a custom URL that you can always go back to and look at more. And then you unpause it, and you can run the test again, and you can actually compare left and right how your web page is performing on Cloudflare and also off Cloudflare. And similar to what'smydns.net, webpagetest.org has multiple points of presence that you can actually request the test be run from. So no matter where your origin is hosted or where the client is coming from, you have the ability, well, you have some flexibility in where you go ahead and run that test from. Awesome. Well, again, I want to thank everybody for the time, and we're going to go ahead and start the questions and answers. Let's see.
Yeah. Hey, Jamison, I can go ahead and help with that. This is Becky again, everybody. I did want to follow up to Jamison's presentation here and just let everyone know once again that all questions can be asked in the chat function, which is at the bottom left of your screen. As I mentioned at the top of our presentation, you will receive a follow-up email with the slides to this presentation, a brief survey. And one of the items in that survey that I forgot to mention before is that we will have follow-up webinars related to performance, security, and utilizing page rules over the coming weeks. And so if those are some topics that you'd be interested in, please make sure to let us know via the survey, and we will make sure you are all included in the invitations. So with that, I will go ahead and get the questions started for Jamison. Jamison, one that came in is, how can I cache my main WordPress page without caching the admin page, which is something that you briefly touched on. Do you have any more details that you could help with and resources to point people to?
Absolutely. And we have a fantastic tutorial on how to utilize page rules. To answer the question directly, though, page rules are cascading. So whatever page rule is first is going to be the first one to execute. So in the event that you have a page rule set to bypass cache on the admin area, and then a subsequent page rule that matches everything, that would be the way to go ahead and accomplish that. So Cloudflare utilizes asterisks, and those are going to be wildcards that match anything. So if you have the page rule first, to go ahead and bypass cache on the admin page with an asterisk after it, that way every subsequent admin page is not cached. That would be, and then followed by a cache everything page rule for your default site. Only the admin would fire first in the event that you were on an admin page, and then subsequently, in the event that you have content, everything that would match the second page rule would fire on everything else. So I definitely encourage this individual to access support.cloudflare.com and just search for page rule tutorial. And we walk you through so many awesome features of page rules. An exciting thing, I'll wrap it up real quick just by saying the wildcard matching is really, really cool because you actually have the ability to specify a variable that's $1, $2, and that would match, $1 would match the first asterisk, $2 would match the second asterisk, so on and so forth. So page rules are a really, really awesome one. And we are going to have a webinar that are just focused on how to use page rules effectively. But I hope that answered your question generally.
Great. Another question that just came in, do I submit a request for a vanity domain as a paid member?
So to clarify a little bit, are you referring to vanity name servers, or are you attempting to CNAME a DNS record to a different domain? And we'll touch back on that. I do see there's an interesting question about DNSSEC as well. I won't steal your thunder. Please read it for me, Becky.
Yeah, thanks, Jamison. Ricardo, we'll come back to your question in a second. Next is how to get DNSSEC on Cloudflare working when I have my domain with Sign.
Sure. So we implemented DNSSEC using a special algorithm that's called algorithm 13. In the event that you use a registrar that does not support algorithm 13, unfortunately, Cloudflare can't provide DNSSEC at this time. That being said, DNSSEC is one of our very, very favorite features that we were able to offer the internet because, you know, that in addition to offering universal SSL to all of our customers and making sure that we're making the internet safer, faster, and, you know, more resilient is something that is a priority here at Cloudflare. Awesome.
Going back
I guess I'll touch back on Ricardo real quick since we don't have any update. But in the event that you want to have vanity name servers, you would just submit a support request to support@cloudflare.com from the appropriate email. And if you want to CNAME your record to a different record, so let's say you have example.com, example.it, example.de, and you want all of these to go to example.com, all of those DNS records would need to be on the same account. We don't allow customers to CNAME records to domains that don't necessarily belong to them or on different accounts. And that's for the security and protection of our customers. Awesome.
Okay, we have a couple other general questions here for you, Jamison. Can you make recommendations on how to improve performance specific for mobile users, and if there's any of our speed settings that you would recommend turning on to make that happen?
Fantastic question. And the answer to that is we built Mirage, which is one of our performance features, specifically to enhance mobile users' experience. And one of the ways that we do that is we automatically detect if we can convert images over to what's called WebP technology. And that's a very special image format specifically designed mainly for mobile users. And that's automatically going to speed up the delivery of those particular images. We also have Polish, which is automatically going to lower the image quality in such a way that it won't impact the image itself, but it will make the image a little bit smaller, and that's going to deliver images faster to all users, browser or mobile. And that being said, to build on that a little bit, we're very focused on mobile. We're working very closely with Google, and we're turning on a feature called AMP, and we're calling it ampersand at the moment. And what AMP is accelerated mobile pages. And this was initially a technology developed by Google. However, we've partnered with them, and that's one of the main things that our engineering office here in Austin is focused on, is really developing AMP in such a way that we can make all mobile pages load faster automatically at the click of a button.
Awesome. Next question, can we add secondary users or emails to our Cloudflare accounts?
Great question. At the enterprise level of service, we do offer what we call multi-user, and in that instance, you can invite any user with an email address to your account. We may expand multi-user out to other subscription levels in the future, but for right now, it's limited to enterprise only.
Wonderful. And on that one, Jamison, too, because this is a common question, could you touch on how somebody could merge accounts or change domains into a different email account if they wanted to?
Sure. So you can definitely change the email address that's associated with your account in your account settings at any time. I would encourage you to go ahead and contact support before you do that, simply to avoid any confusion. And as far as moving one domain from one account to the other, you would simply need to change your name servers away from Cloudflare and move them back to your current registrar, and then you can re-add that domain to any account that you would like.
Fantastic. Next question is, what are the basic security settings that you would recommend? I can see that the default level is set to medium. What does that mean, and under what circumstances would you consider changing that?
Sure, fantastic. So we automatically detect network activity across our entire network. We don't necessarily log specific user information. However, we do make sure that we are checking IP reputation, as we refer to it. And one way that you can actually check your IP reputation at any time is to access a website called Project Honeypot. And Project Honeypot is our primary source of security information about network activity, who's spamming people, who's DDoSing people. That's really all we're concerned about there. So in the event that you're concerned that someone is making malicious requests to your origin web server, I would recommend raising your security level. That way we know, okay, this IP has this IP reputation score, and we can go ahead and block that for you. And in the event that you have a static website, everything's cached, that would be a place where you would want to go ahead and lower it. Because if we're caching everything at the edge, it's not ever going to hit your origin web server anyway. So definitely something to play with and something to read a little bit more about at support.cloudflare.com. But yeah, in the event that you have like one specific IP address, one ASN, which is basically an owner of a series of IP addresses, one geolocation that seems to be hitting your web server way too much or is maliciously attacking you, you can block all of those in the IP firewall directly. And so, yes, the security level is still important, but we definitely enable all of our customers, even at the free plan, to go ahead and selectively allow or deny traffic based on IP address.
Great. Looks like there was a follow-up to the previous question about transferring domains to other accounts. And the question is, does the new account then scan the DNS record completely?
Great question. So the way that we've designed our activation process is definitely focused on making sure that your website is up as 100% of the time. So in the event that you do move back to your previous name servers, I would encourage you to go ahead and export your DNS records, which is something that you can do through the DNS dashboard, and make sure that those DNS records exist after you move back. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to keep a third party functioning with all of your DNS records, since they don't necessarily have the same DNS scan technology that we do. So that's why we went ahead and added the export technology that you can provide to your name servers and your name server registrar and make sure that they have all of that information.
Wonderful. Next question is, what are the differences between the basic DDoS protection available in the Pro plan versus the advanced DDoS protection available in the business plan?
Sure, great question. So to kind of add a little bit more color as well, so it's all about networking priority. In the event that you are on the advanced DDoS protection, you're also going to have access to faster pipes, if you will, and those are going to also have greater network resiliency, and we're going to make sure that your site is always protected by Cloudflare no matter what. At the basic protection level, we generally walk people through how to utilize our IP firewall, and if you're on the Pro plan, how to use our web application firewall. You also get custom web application firewall rules at the business plan and above. Awesome.
Okay. And then it looks like this is the final question. How can I tell whether or not Cloudflare is working to make my site faster or more secure?
Sure. And I did touch on that briefly with the webpagetest.net. I would encourage you to use our pause functionality, and that's going to temporarily pause Cloudflare, and it's all going to route directly to your server. And then once you've done that, go ahead and unpause Cloudflare and run the web page test again. And that gives you side-by-side analysis of exactly how fast your time to first byte is, your full loading time. And I would also encourage you to run that a couple times just to make sure that you're getting all of the color that you would like to see. As far as testing security features, at any paid plan we do offer the web application firewall, you can turn on a rule, and you can turn it on in simulate mode, and that's not going to necessarily block a request, but it will log it in our web application firewall traffic logs. And that way you can see, oh, well, I'm getting all of these malicious requests that are hitting my web server. I should probably turn this this rule to either block, challenge, or turn it off.
All right, fantastic. It looks like you have answered all the questions that have come in, Jamison. Thank you so much for doing that and being so thorough. To everybody on the line, as Jamison has mentioned, obviously if you do have follow-up, please visit our knowledge base at support.cloudflare.com or email our team in the ways that he indicated. And as I said, you'll be getting a follow-up email with these slides for reference, and we really appreciate everybody's time and attendance today. It was fantastic having you. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, Becky. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.